Hey everybody, welcome. It is Tuesday, December 6th, 2022, and I am getting over his sickness, so if you can hear it in my voice and in my nose, I'm very sorry. I'm very highly medicated right now, so hopefully this will be leading to a entertaining interview for us to hear today. How are all of you? Welcome to WrestleSode. Today we are being joined by a very special guest here out of BC, somebody who I had the fortune of getting to see when I went out to my first BC show at the baseball show. We are speaking with Elliot Tyler, who has been blowing up all over the place here recently, not only wrestling in Vancouver anymore, even just broke into Alberta, had his Alberta debut, and has been doing some really cool matches. I know he had a match against the Bollywood boys here recently. Sorry, I know he didn't win that one, but I just won't tell him that. I know he can hear me right now, but that's okay. So we're gonna get straight into that interview here in just a moment here. First, before we get into that, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. Remember, if you are watching this on YouTube, because we are now on YouTube, remember to hit that like button, smash that like button down below. It really does help. We shoot up. People actually get to tune in, and we can have a great little conversation. So ask questions as well tonight as we go through this. It's going to be a great time. I'm very excited for this. So without any further ado, I'll give my thumbs up here to Elliot, see if he's good to go. Perfect. All right, let's bring him in. Elliot, how are you doing here today, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. I'll say thank you so much for joining me here today. I've been wanting to do this obviously for a while. I want to apologize because I know I reached out to you pretty much in like August, and now it's like December before I've actually brought this interview. But I was super excited when I saw you at the NEW show. I knew I had to get you on here. I just could feel that this was going to be a great conversation that we're going to have today.
Yeah, well, I mean, lucky for you, I have no proper frame of time. So August to now has felt like both 6 months and an hour. So hasn't felt like a long wait for me at all.
Well, that's awesome then. I'm glad that it hasn't been too bad for you. How are you enjoying Vancouver? I know you guys recently got a huge dump of snow, your once a year dump of snow that will last for about a week and then it turns to rain. But how's that been for you?
Yeah, our huge dump of snow, that was about 2 inches of snow. Yeah, definitely wiped us out pretty bad, you know?
It really does stop people in Vancouver, though. Like, nobody, like, as soon as it starts to snow, people lose control of their vehicles. There's vehicles on every ditch. People just like a slant, like a hill that's like this big. No, it's an insurmountable object to Vancouver when it snows.
It's absolutely embarrassing. You know, you see clips from like Quebec and Ontario and all the east and central provinces, and it's like they get tens of 20s of feet of snow and they deal with it and they keep going, and we get 2 inches, and all three of our bridges shut down, the tunnel goes out, and people get stranded in their car overnight instead of going home to their families. And it's it's funny to me because I make it home on time, but just seeing all the stuff online, it's embarrassing. It's you know.
Well, do you often have to? Are you a public transit, or are you like driving around most of the time in Vancouver?
I drive. I refuse with every fiber of my being to take public transit. I hate it with all my heart.
You literally live in like the city with like the best public transit in Canada, essentially.
Yes, no, you're not wrong there. We do have a very good train system and bus system, but it's not for me. I don't have the patience. I can't do it.
Totally understandable. I don't know. For me personally, I just get on a train, put in some headphones, and I'm like, listen to a podcast or something and just zone out for an hour. But then, I don't know. Public transit can also be weird. There's some people that you could like scrape the smell off of them with a knife. Do you know what I mean?
I do. It's the smell that cuts through the air. You know, it really finds your nose.
Oh, it's fun. We got Stephen Crow in chat. How are you doing, buddy? Great to see him. Obviously, he's been on the show before. I know you had a match recently with Stephen Crow. Let's talk a little bit about this. Since he's already here, let's talk about your time in Alberta. How did you like coming to Alberta and breaking into the Alberta scene?
All around Alberta was awesome. I've been to Alberta once before this, and it was the drive to Saskatchewan when I was like 8. But no, I mean, Alberta was fun. I came out a day early. Eli Surge, who wrestles out there now, is one of my real life best friends. So I got to stay at his place, and I got to go see Mutart Observatory. I don't know how to pronounce the first name. But
yes, the Mutart. Yes,
Edmonton. That was really cool. and then I got to see them all, and that was really cool. And then
It's really interesting when people see the ship for the first time and they're like, "You have a ship in the middle of your mall," and you're like, "It's just a small one. It's
it's a small ship, but I mean, you also have a wave pool and an amusement park and a go-kart course in the mall.
Great go-kart course. I love that. I got to go there earlier this year. Oh, I wanted to go again.
Jealous. I got there at like 1 p.m. and the next going was like 4 p.m. I didn't get to do it.
You got to kind of book ahead. I went for a bachelor party, so I got cheated. There are also 6-foot lockers. Yeah, there's giant things inside of West End. But no, that's just funny. But yeah, let's kind of go back here, obviously. So welcome, obviously, to the Alberta scene. I'm glad that you were able to break in, and hopefully that won't be your only match, because unfortunately I wasn't there. Edmonton, unfortunately, 3 hours away and through the snow of Alberta. That's like 6.
Not ideal.
Not ideal. But how did it start in the world of Elliot Tyler? Let's bring it all the way back. How did you first fall in love with the world of wrestling?
All in general, how I fell in love with it.
Yeah. How did it happen for you?
Like a young love, like a teenage love. You meet the girl at high school and you become friends, and it blossoms into this beautiful thing. That's what it was with wrestling. I was up late having a sleepover with my friends when I was like 10, and they had all gone to sleep, and I was bored. So you put on TV, and it's a rerun of Friday Night SmackDown. And God, the first match I watched wasn't even like memorable. I couldn't even tell you what it is. But, I watched it, and I'd never been keen to sports in any way. Ask either of my parents. They both wanted me to be successful hockey players, and I didn't make it past 7 playing hockey. So I was never into sports. And then this one just kind of hooked my eye, and it started out as a like, and then I watched it more and more, and I fell in love with Edge, and I fell in love with Rey Mysterio, and be damned, I fell in love with John Cena, and, it blossomed from there.
So I got to ask, obviously, because you're living in Vancouver, big Canucks kind of fan, kind of if they're pushing you in the world of hockey.
I wasn't for the longest time. I got into hockey the first year of lockdowns, and that's when I really started to get into it. Now, a huge Canucks fan. I got a Niels Höglander jersey in my closet that I got for Christmas last year. I got Canucks hats and merchandise all over the place. And it's a very love-hate relationship.
I understand, obviously. I went to college in Vancouver, but growing up, I was obviously a big Flames fan and stuff. So I do own in my collection of T-shirts a number 22 Daniel Sedin Canucks T-shirt somewhere.
Okay. I was always more of a Henrik guy, but Daniel was obviously very good.
I mean, you know what? At the end of the day, it was the cheaper of the 2 shirts. So I
didn't have the captain logo on it, did it?
No, it was just the Canucks, and it just said 22. Are your parents supportive of you wrestling? That's always a fun question. Never actually asked that one.
No, not at all. They're happy that I found something to do that isn't like I was gonna say that isn't just like partying, but I guess the bumps you take in the ring equate a lot to partying every weekend, kind of in its own weird way. But no, they're not necessarily supportive. Not to say they're anti-supportive or push against it. It's always just kind of they don't want to watch me do it because they're afraid for my safety, but they understand it's my passion and it's my drive, and they don't deter me from it.
Well, that's awesome to hear. So you're up one night, you're at a sleepover, you're watching TV, a rerun of Friday Night SmackDown comes on, and you're just watching this. And what are you thinking to yourself, obviously? Because like it's for a lot of people anyways, it seems so larger than life when you first tune into the world of wrestling, especially at a young age. So what was that like feeling for you? Like what made you go like, whoa, this is awesome?
Honestly, this is going to sound terrible, but the first time I watched it, I don't think I had that moment. I think I watched it and I was like, okay, like it's cool enough. I like some of the characters. But I think it was a few weeks later after that episode, I kept watching. I didn't know about Monday Night Raw yet, so I was just watching SmackDown. And it was when Edge and Kane were having that feud in like late 2010, early 2011, I want to say, for the world title. And I saw Edge push Paul Bearer off like the third floor of this building, duct taped to a chair. And I think at that moment I was like, "Holy shit!
Like, what am I watching
I'm
right
hooked
now?
There's fighting and murder. I'm in."
Well, I suppose you're really into Impact right now because, as far as I remember, Cody Deaner just put an end to Eric Young in the world of
Yeah.
Impact Wrestling. So
Yes, Impact loves their murder, don't they? They
they
absolutely
do.
love.
It's been a few years since they murdered Allie, so they really need to get in there and just kill someone else off.
Ali wasn't the last one. It was Ethan
What?
Page.
Oh, that's right. I guess Ethan Page is the last one since. My God, you just gotta stop. That's what they do. They're like, you know what? Just kill them off, just for good.
It's easy.
They're never coming back.
Yeah, they're never coming back. Just kill them off, rip the heart out. Have Karate Man rip the heart out, right?
Oh man, I used to love Karate Man, but it's always so sad because when you hear Ethan Page talk about it, he's like, I hated it. I didn't like doing that. Like, it was fun, but he's like, it's dead now. Don't talk about it. It's a thing of the past.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll leave it for this podcast and this podcast only.
Oh, here's a fun question here from Dylan Miller. What's your favorite Undertaker? I guess iteration, because there's been like 15.
Easy one. Like the 2016 Undertaker, the one that was the dead man, but also had MMA gloves and wore a lot of eyeliner. Because like I never saw Biker Taker or original Dead Man Taker, so weird, evil, dead MMA guys, easily the best Undertaker.
Best Taker for you? I feel like I'm saying my age here, because for me, it's the Taker that like posed like and always had like a purple glove on. That's prime Undertaker for me.
I'm big MMA glove Taker guy. That'll always be my go-to.
Oh, Undertaker, in my opinion, he's been my favorite since I was a kid. He's like my favorite of all time. So like just any iteration of Undertaker. How about Mean Mark Calloway? How about that? How about that iteration of Taker?
Pardon? Red, old school.
Oh yeah, we're going WCW days and even prior to that now. But yeah, Undertaker is great. So obviously you've done your research and a little bit of homework because, like you said, like you kind of grew up watching wrestling, but it was a little bit like you said around the 2010 mark there, right? Did you go back and you watch all like the crazy PG and Attitude Era stuff from the past?
No, not really. Just most of the stuff I know is either from like best of videos or documentaries. I don't think I ever went back and watched like an episode of anything. It never, it's gonna sound bad, but it never really interests me. I got hooked on the murder of Paul Bearer, but I'm definitely more of a fan of the wrestling than the crazy antics. So it never really piqued my interest to go back to the Attitude Era or the Monday Night Wars or anything like that.
Well, because in terms of actual wrestling, like today's wrestling is amazing. Like,
yes,
the amount of stuff that people could do in the ring. Are you a big fan of like? Do you consume a lot of the actual like, like WWE, AEW like product kind of wrestling?
I do. I try to watch everything. I try to. I like watching everything for the most part. I find myself to be a fan of virtually every style. So I do still watch a lot of the AEW. I watch AEW Dark, like all the YouTube shows. I'll watch main events, like WWE main event. I'll watch it all of it. If I can find myself to it, there's a good chance I will watch it.
I'm a big fan of Being the Elite. I'm so glad it's back. I miss that on my Mondays, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
But so how did the transition then happen for you? So you're a kid, you enjoy wrestling, you start watching wrestling, murder happens, and you're like, oh my God, this is the best thing. And you're like, now I got to go commit murder. Like, how did you choose to be a wrestler at that point?
Well, pretty quick after I started watching it, there was never like there was kind of like a point, but it wasn't necessarily a moment where I was like, I'm going to be a wrestler. Just kind of after I started watching it, I think I started beating up my pillows and hitting attitude adjustments and swanton bombs off of stuff onto them and hurting my back. But never really a specific moment that made me decide. I think the moment that I started liking wrestling was the moment I started wanting to be a wrestler.
So how did you choose? Like, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to Google going to wrestling schools. Like, how did that happen in your world then?
Very unorthodoxly. So my sister, who's 3 years older than me, started dating a guy, and she threw a house party, if I remember correctly. I think it was a house party she threw. I hope my dad's not watching this, but her boyfriend stayed the night. And the next day, I was watching SmackDown reruns in the living room, and they were eating breakfast. And he looks at the screen. He's like, my brother does this. And I was like, your brother's in the WWE? Oh my god! And she's like, no. And he's like, no. He's not in the WWE. He's in this little company, tiny little company, but he does it. And I was like, can I meet him? I was starstruck. It didn't matter that he wasn't WWE. I was like, oh, he's a wrestler. He's obviously a really big deal. But yeah, so he introduced me to his brother, and then I started going to local indie shows, and I built a relationship with the older brother, and just like would message him every time I had a question about wrestling or anything like that. And eventually I turned 15, and I asked him, I was like, hey, like, I want to train to be a wrestler. Like, what are my steps? And he sent me in the right direction and who to contact, and also helped contact that person for me. And then, yeah, I got in that way.
So when did you start training exactly? This would have been around 2016 then?
Yes. No. I started training a week after my 16th birthday, and that would have been 2014.
2014 is when you started training then. Because when I check your cage match, for instance, it only goes back as far as 2016 then. So how did you go from training to your first match then? Like, what was that like?
That was a long journey. My promoter wouldn't let me wrestle until I was 18. He ended up letting me wrestle when I was 17, but he was very adamant that I had to wait until I was pretty much done school, passing all my courses and all that. He made me be very mature about it. But yeah, so it took
good promoter, just for the record, if that's the way there, he makes sure that you're using this first.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely when I was 17, I hated him for it. But now that I am 24, I'm like, you know what? Like, I definitely not a bad idea to finish school before you start wrestling. But yeah, it was almost 2 years. I ended up debuting 4 days before my 18th birthday. And I reffed a bunch in between then. And yeah, it was a long journey. I definitely didn't pick it up easy. I'm not an athlete. I'm not naturally gifted. None of it came just like, oh, here's a hip toss. I learned a hip toss. It wasn't. It definitely was a very difficult journey on becoming a wrestler for me.
Well, what did you grow up doing then? Like, what was your specialty as a kid then? Because, like, you didn't start until you were about 14. You started training. You liked wrestling, right? But were you like a big gamer? Like, did you? I don't know. Like, what was your thing as a kid?
Man, I was an uninteresting kid. I never really had
did his homework, went to bed on time, ate his broccoli. This kid over.
I was never good at school. I was never good at sports. I'm not good at video games. Like, I was a kid of no talent. I was the opposite of a jack of all trades. I was just a painfully average suburb living kid who would hang out with his friends after school, and yeah, nothing about me screams prodigy in any way, shape, or form. That's for sure.
But yet in the ring, you're obviously you do actually stick out quite well when I see you in the ring, because I feel like in terms of like being able to tell a story, like physical story in the ring, and like the story throughout the course of the match, I thought you did such a fantastic job. Because like when I would watch you wrestle, I was like, okay, yeah, he looks young, but he looks like obviously he's been doing this for a really long time. So clearly, like, you had to work hard, but you've obviously picked up the pieces and done quite well for yourself over the course of the last 6 to 8 years approximately.
Thank you. That means a lot to hear, and I will give full credit to my trainers at the Lionsgate Dojo, name drop of the school there. But I will give full credit to Artemis Spencer, Nicole Matthews, Tony Baroni, Billy Swade, like the whole lot of them. Yeah, definitely the athleticism part was never my strong suit, so I clung to the part that I could do. I was a theater kid, so when I learned that you could actually do a story in wrestling, I was like, well, that's what I'm going to have to try to do. And thankfully, all the trainers at the dojo are, A1 phenomenal storytellers in the ring. So I was lucky to learn from the best.
I love to hear that. And obviously, like I said, it's done really well for you. And you've broken now into the Alberta scene. You recently had a match with the Bollywood boys. Like, bigger things are happening, obviously, for the world of Elliot Tyler. So what are some other things that you would love to accomplish now? You've broken into Alberta. You're working obviously with some pretty big names there in BC, and you're putting on some really great matches. What's next? What do you want to do?
My goal is to eventually, it's long term, wrestle in every province. That is a big goal of mine. I definitely early in my career got to wrestle a lot in like Washington and Oregon, and get to cut my teeth with a lot of the American wrestlers that were down there, and I was very lucky to do so. But definitely my mindset has changed. There's so many great Canadian wrestlers. You look at Alberta, you got MRB and Holden Albright, and like you head out to Ontario, you got Mark Wheeler, Jesse V, Von Vertigo. Maritimes has Kobe Christ and Chip Chambers. Like just all across the board, there's so many phenomenal wrestlers that I feel like don't get the same light shone on them as American wrestlers, and I really feel like I could benefit from working people like that. And I'm such a fan of the Canadian style. Like there's hundreds of different Canadian styles, but I feel like it's all from the same roots, and it's so competitive and hard hitting, and it's what I live for.
Oh, I think that's a great way of putting it. And the thing about Canada is that it still very much feels like a territory system, especially compared to a lot of other places. We're so big, and like you said, we're very spaced out, right? Like even between Vancouver and Calgary, which essentially are, in terms of major cities, next door neighbors. That's a 13-hour drive. Like it's not close. So if like you wanted to go from Vancouver to Winnipeg, for instance, like that's an
Mhm.
adventure all in itself, and that's like it's really not that far, but it's really, really far in terms of Canada. So, oh yeah, here's a fun question. I just saw this popping up. We got to know, what's the deal with Beef Boy? What is one of the best in-ring names I've ever seen, which I agree with. You got to tell us the story of Beef Boy and what Beef Boy is.
Um, so there was a class at the dojo many, many moons ago, and it was when I first started training with them, and I think it was Artie. It was an Artie class, and he was teaching big man spots. And me, not being a big man, just kind of shouted. Just like it became like a little joke that I would chant beef and say beef at class during the big man spots. And then I think it was a few weeks later, I had a mock match with someone, and it wasn't going that good. Uh, so in the match, I was just trying to salvage it and have fun and make a joke out of it. And I started chanting beef when I would throw punches. And after the mock match, Tony Baroni, who was there that day, just kind of laid the law and was like, "That's the most character I've ever seen you show in the ring. That's the best thing you've ever done. So you're gonna have to run with it." So tried it out at like a fair show, I think it was, and the people there really liked it, and one of the promoters that was there liked it, and it grew its own legs, and Beef Boy became its own entity and just started running.
How long has that been around now? Then
Beef Boy since
yeah,
2018.
2018. Yeah, Tony Brony, wrestling genius, absolutely. He was also one of the greatest action figure collections, in my opinion. If you haven't had a chance to see it, holy crap, does he have a lot of great action figures?
It's impressive. I collect wrestling figures as well. I don't
Ooh.
display it like him, but we will message often. We actually have a little wrestling figure group chat in the area where we'll all send each other stuff, and like, who needs this? Anybody want me to pick it up for them? But he has an insane collection.
I'm very jealous of this group chat, especially because I live so far away. Because my collection, it's small, but it's okay. I'm getting it up there as my AEW, some couple of them.
That's an
Not
honest
bad.
collection. That's
It's a
not bad
little.
at
It's
all.
doing okay. I spend way too much on NXT trading cards instead. So I like the card sections and stuff as well. What about you? What kind of action figures are you collecting? Is it like the WWE, AEW, historical stuff? Like, what are you collecting?
All modern. It's all modern. I don't collect any historical stuff. I can't get behind the idea of blowing like $80 on a limited edition figure from like 20 years ago. It's not for me. But like wrestling figures are a big one. I'm currently going through the entire MCU catalog in chronological order, and that has inspired me to start an MCU figure collection, which I know is going to take so much money out of my wallet.
Oh my
but
gosh, yeah.
but I'm very excited for it. I think I got Thor and Doctor Strange on the way.
What do you have already then? Like, what are you hiding off screen right now?
Nothing's displayed. As far as MCU figures, I don't have any yet. I'm getting the first 2 in soon. As far as wrestling figures, honestly, you name it, there's a good chance I have it.
I'm so jealous of
As
that.
far as lottery goes, I don't have any like old school. My old school, I got like an Arn, a Tully, a Dusty, and a Mick Foley, and that's about it for old school.
Well, that's fine. I mean, like you said, you like what you like, right? Most of my stuff is all new school as well, right? Like, I don't have anything new. Though these new, I think it's the Unrivaled series that's been coming out here, has the new Danhausen action figure in it, so I need to get that.
You got to get Danhausen.
My daughter is addicted to Danhausen. Like, we'll be driving in the car and she'll be like Danhausen. She'll scream Danhausen because she wants me to play his theme song. And if I go to my daughter and I go, "Who do you love?" she says, "Danhausen." So my daughter is the best.
Love that Danhausen, right?
Love that Danhausen. Oh, here's a question from Dylan Miller. Who's your favorite superhero?
Ooh. Of all time, it's got to be Wolverine. But currently, just because I'm watching all the movies, Doctor Strange is just so cool.
So powerful.
So powerful. It's so cool, man. He just looks so cool. The cape, everything is just so well presented. But Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is definitely a big favorite of mine. And Spider-Man, honorable mention, of course.
I will love anybody who will give an X-Men as one of their favorite in terms of the MCU, because like I wasn't the biggest like superhero person as a kid. Like I liked it, but I loved X-Men though. Like growing up, like X-Men was my jam. So for when people ask me that question, I'm like, it's Gambit. It's definitely Gambit. I love Gambit.
Good. I gotta rewatch X-Men. I'm just showing all the X-Men movies to my partner, or not the X-Men. I'm showing all the MCU, but I think X-Men is next on the list because they're bringing Wolverine back in.
Yeah.
So they got to know the whole lore and backstory, so I can pause every 10 minutes and explain it to them and how exciting it is.
I assume you're like you're pausing. You're just like, all right, so this is the part where this kind of, you know what I mean? You just have to like really specify.
I'm so that person. I did it today. We just finished WandaVision, and I paused when Quicksilver came on screen, and it was played by what's his name? He just did the Dahmer documentary. You know who I'm talking about? Evan Peters.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
He did the Quicksilver in the X-Men one, but or was it Deadpool?
Was that the one? So I think it was Days of Future Past. Was that the one that had Quicksilver? I think that was the one that had Quicksilver.
I think so. I'm the
worst. I'm super bad at. I'm just old and forgetful. So there's the difference. But X-Men's awesome. So I mean, that's a great choice. Obviously, like Wolverine with his regenerative abilities, and Doctor Strange, like you said. When I saw the first Doctor Strange movie, I was just like, this guy is fucking awesome. Everything about this guy is fucking awesome.
Slaps,
I thought, well, my first introduction with what's the name of the guy who plays him? Benedict Cumberbatch. I was like, that's Sherlock. So that was like my first thinking when I first watched superheroes, like when I first saw him around. So I was just like, I already knew that he was gonna be great at being like a genius, like think next level kind of guy. Yes. So like it was perfect when I saw him in the MCU as Doctor Strange. I'm like, oh yeah, fits very, very well.
Yes.
But I like this. Having discovered wrestling after the all-time classic documentary, Ready to Rumble was originally released. What are your thoughts on that incredible expose behind the scenes? Apparently he thinks this is a documentary.
Ready to Rumble? I don't think I've ever seen Ready to Rumble.
Oh, that's a shame. Unfortunately, it's like the best wrestling movie that's ever existed. It's got David Arquette, and it's like back in like the late 90s, like WCW days. Oh, it was so good.
My God, who asked that question? Was that Tony Baroni? Because he's been trying to get me to watch that movie for like 5 years.
It legitimately is the best wrestling movie that's ever been made. It's so funny. It just really is so funny. And it's got a lot of great quotes to it. So if I could ever recommend something to you, I think Tony is right. Watch this movie. Tony has good taste.
All right. After I'm done MCU and then the X-Men movies, I will give it a go.
You see, everybody in chat right now, they're all just going like, you gotta watch it, man.
Give me time. There's a lot on the list.
There's a lot of time to go. There you go. But I guess, do you play any wrestling games then? Because I know you said you weren't much of a gamer growing up, but like, did you play any of the games then growing up?
I mean, when I was younger, I did, but I wasn't really around when like the heyday of wrestling games came out. I wasn't a wrestling fan when like SmackDown Here Comes the Pain or any of those games were there. I got all the boring 2K and SmackDown versus Raw. I still get them every few years just to see what it's like and try it out. But I did get the new one, the one that brought back GM mode. I'm a big GM mode fan. So, yeah, I play that one from time to time, but no.
Well, it's totally fine. When you did play it, did you create yourself in like the created character? Because I know I totally have tried it before.
Absolutely.
You're just
Absolutely.
like, I'm playing Elliot Tyler.
Crazy like wrestling characters that I wanted that I made in the video game, and and then I realized I couldn't do 99% of the things that I gave the character. So I just
You're just like, I can totally do all these backflips and Canadian destroyers. Like, no problem.
Yeah. Spiral tap, no problem. Give it to me. Yeah, I'll hit a choke slam into a 450 splash, easy.
I think that the only wrestling move I might be able to pull off is some sort of double axe handle or back rake. Like, I think that's probably the extent of my wrestling ability, to be completely honest.
Not bad.
Did you?
A good back rake is very successful.
I miss it in wrestling. Most people should do more back rakes. Like, to be honest, the classic heel, the eye pokes, the stomps on the foot, the back rakes. You know what I mean? I'm a huge fan of these.
Give me someone raking the eyes with their shoelace.
Oh, jeez.
You're
like really hardcore. Let's get in there. This sounds like a hardcore match. Oh, there you go. Anybody who's ever booking a hardcore match, use shoelaces. I like that. Oh, here we go. You're having dinner with 3 wrestlers, past or present. Who would you choose and why? Great question, JJ. Much love to JJ.
3 wrestlers, past or present, and why? Ooh. Number 1, John Cena. Just because I want to say I hung out with John Cena.
Would you ask him about what is that? Bing Chilling. Would you
ask him about what?
So he did a commercial recently in China where he was advertising an ice cream, and he was basically sitting in his car speaking Chinese and talking about ice cream. And he kept saying Bing Chilling, which is the name of the ice cream. And now it's like ingrained into my head. John Cena, everything he does is amazing.
I saw a Bing Chilling meme on TikTok the other day, and I didn't get it. So now I understand that meme. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's fantastic. Oh God, that's such a heavy question. Roddy Piper. I'd pick Roddy Piper as someone just because I feel like he's a crazy man, and I'd love to hear him talk. And Beth Phoenix.
Just to ask about Edge and stuff, because I know you talked about Edge earlier.
Ask about Edge, but also ask about Beth Phoenix. She's so cool.
Oh, for sure. The freaking what's the name of her finisher right now? The slam, the glam slam? Yeah, the glam slam. Yeah.
Is it the glam slam? Yes.
I believe that's what it is. It's just so great. I love watching her do that. What are you having for dinner with those 3 wrestlers? Oh, there you go.
Ooh. Vietnamese food, pho. Pho, whatever you call it. Pho.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yes, that or hot pot. Hot pot would be great.
So good. I miss Vancouver for the pho. Like, I used to live there, and like the delicious ramen, sushi, and pho that I would get just anywhere I wanted. Oh my God, it was so good.
So good. Get me like the rice wraps with the pork and the shrimp. Oh, fantastic. And you did the peanut sauce. Are you kidding me?
Oh. I'm getting hungry now. There was this place in Coquitlam that I used to go to that had like this delicious carrot pho. Like, I can't remember what it's called, but like the base was like this delicious, like sweet carrot, but then it was also spicy and it had chunks of carrot and it was so good. Oh my God.
When you think of that, you figure it out. You let me know because I'm going there.
Next time I'm back in Coquitlam, I'll have to figure it out. Coquitlam and Burnaby are my old like stomping grounds. So
we'll have a pho date. It'll be good.
There you go. Fantastic. A pho date. We'll have a pho date. It'll be good. But wait, hold on. I saw a question here earlier. I wanted to see if I can figure this out. Where did it go? Oh, maybe we did cover this one. That's okay. I can move on to some other quick questions here. So you said in wrestling, you love a lot of different types of wrestling. Like, there's a lot of things that appeal to you to wrestling, but it's actually wrestling itself that you love these days. In terms of wrestling yourself, what's your favorite style to actually wrestle, though? Because sometimes you might like one thing, but find yourself better at something else. So, like, what's your favorite style that you like to do?
That's That's a hard one. I'm such a big fan of technical wrestling. I wish I could do it better, and I know I could if I put my heart to it. But definitely, if I could wrestle any style for the rest of my life, it would be that hard hitting Thatcher Makabe style of wrestling. I'm so mesmerized. Or like the old Lucha Libre where it's just hold for hold. I'm such a big fan of. I know there's such a taboo of it recently on social media, but like, oh, it's boring. But I love that. I love the art of like fighting for the hold.
I think it's brilliant, man. British wrestling, especially because they really care a lot about like the technical and the joint manipulation and stuff. The very small, even people like Pete Dunne, just the things he'll do with your hand is amazing to watch, and nobody can
Yes.
tell me differently. In my opinion, it's beautiful.
I agree. I'm completely the same page.
Do you
But
have like a match that you always go to where you're like, oh, that's the technical masterpiece? Like I could watch that match a million times.
it's gonna sound very biased, but I really, really, really enjoy Daniel Makabe versus Liza Hall from 3-2-1 Battle. Is a very fun one to watch. Nicole Matthews and Daniel Makabe had a phenomenal match. I think at New 1 or 2. I don't remember which one, but that definitely I've watched like 10 times. I thoroughly enjoyed. Um, yeah, God.
Daniel Makabe is so good. I just wanted to take a second to just throw that out there because everybody in BC is so good. But like Paul will agree with me in chat because like when I first was like breaking into the BC scene, I was like, man, who are some of like the people I should keep an eye on? He's like, dude, my favorite's Daniel. Like you gotta watch Makabe. He's so good. Like that was the first thing he said to me. It was just like, if you're looking at BC, go watch a Daniel Makabe match. Like that was the first thing he told me.
Yes, absolutely. Literally, the other matches I was going to name was like Timothy Thatcher versus Daniel Makabe, Daniel Makabe versus Judas Icarus. Like so many technical matches that I'm just head over heels for involve him in some capacity, and if not him, there's usually some inspired from him in it.
Look at that, Paul, right there. Makabe firmly in my top 10 of all time. There you go. So that's
Absolutely.
great choice. I know that he was recently, I've got to break this away from it. He said he was doing a bit of a retirement in 2022, or at least towards the end, he was taking a break. But then is he actually wrestling again? Because I think I saw something recently. He said that he was wrestling again.
I think he's coming back. I'm not too sure.
Friggin' hope so, man. Like, this is like.
I don't want to put words in there for him. I'm not sure.
If it happens, I want to go to a BC to just watch another match. It was like I haven't had the chance to watch a Makabe match live, but man, do I want to, right? After everything, like because I've done my digging into the BCC, right? I got to watch your matches. I looked at your stuff online. Like you said, like the Hall sisters, I learned a lot about Artemis Spencer and Nicole Matthews and Tony Baroni and all the different people out there. And yeah, Makabe was definitely like, oh my God. There are matches that I need to see live, and he's one of those ones where that's one. So much love there to Makabe. So you said technical, like big fan of that then. So do you watch a lot of people like Zack Sabre Jr. and like just to study the way he moves because of the way he wrestles, obviously?
It's gonna sound bad. I haven't seen as much Zack Sabre Jr. as I would like to admit. I'm a big fan of the Americanized technical guys more so over. I'm a huge Wheeler Yuta guy. Lee Moriarty, Garcia, Gresham.
That whole batch right now that is like the young guys that came through AEW right now is just, oh my God, are they so good?
I know. I'm obsessed with all of them. I watch them all very regularly.
I personally feel like Daniel Garcia, there's just something about him. He's gonna just continue to just like escalate. Like he did so great. The whole feud with like Daniel Bryan and Chris Jericho was all focused right around him. I love seeing the young guys kind of getting that like gigantic push because my God, do they deserve it?
Yeah.
If you could just appear in AEW, like they're just like, hey, like let's just say you were out in Toronto when they came through and they're like, well, you got a dark match. Who do you want? And they got the roster pick there. Like, who are you having your match against?
Big Show.
Like full on Paul White, or are you going with like Captain Insano Big Show right now? Because I know he made recent.
Paul White Big Show. Paul White Big Show.
What would your match be like? I would love to see this, just for the record, because like the juxtaposition there would be amazing to see.
Just ding, 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 choke slam my ass, pick me up, hit me with the weapon of mass destruction. That's all I need. I'm a happy kid. 13-year-old me would be so stoked. I tell you.
Oh, just he's a legendary person. Like, not even in terms of like wrestlers, because like he is a legendary wrestler, but like in terms of humans, he's like a legendary human. Like, just to people to like see the man shake his gigantic hand, which would just encompass my arm. What a cool thing just to be able to take a bump for that guy, right?
I know. I'm a big Show guy. Huge. Absolutely in love with him since day one. Got his figure. Shameless fan.
What was it about the Big Show that like just really like, because there was a lot of big guys in the WWE back in the day, especially the time while he was wrestling. Kane was around and stuff. Like, what was it about Paul White that you really fell in love with?
I don't know. I felt like because on a given moment he could like really turn the knob. A lot of people said, "Oh, you've seen one Big Show match, you've seen them all," but I remember like he had that feud with Sheamus that was so cool when it was like, "What's stronger, the punch or the brogue?" Uh, his like last man standing match with Roman Reigns was insane. You know, he just like he could turn it up and he could just deliver whenever he wanted to, whenever he needed to. I just like he could give it. You know, he really give it.
Some of the best moments that I can just think of are around the Big Show. The ring falling apart when he got superplexed by Brock Lesnar, and the ring explodes, and the referee like falls out of the ring. His the Andre the Giant Battle Royale, where like Cesaro literally picks up the Big Show and
Yeah.
throws him over the ring. It's just amazing things. Like, anything he touches can turn to serious gold.
Yeah, a lot of people write him off, but if you look back at like some of the biggest WWE moments the last 20 years, he's in a lot of them. People just forget that.
Do you have a favorite Big Show moment?
Ooh. When I have it. I have it. It would have to be, I know it's not a him moment, but his match with Mark Henry where Daniel Bryan cashed in after to win his first world title. The match itself, I really liked the chairs match between Mark Henry and Big Show. They beat the shit out of each other. And then to have Daniel Bryan cash in and fantastic. The whole thing, fantastic. Mwah, you know?
Great time. I also got to say, another person, Mark Henry, who doesn't get the love that he totally deserves.
No, he does not.
He has one of my favorite moments in all of wrestling history, which is the what I like to call the salmon suit, the and doing his retirement speech, but for John Cena, but it wasn't an actual. But the suit and just him coming out and being so playful and loving and like literally shedding a tear and then turning again. Oh my god, it's the best.
Yeah, what was the line? He's like, "Kids, I'm coming home," and then he goes to hug Cena. And he just like boom. It's like, wow, you know. I think I was like 15 when that happened. I was like, oh my god.
It, like, in my opinion, because like I've always liked the Mark Henry, right? Like, because I grew up in the Attitude Era, like he was around for like a long time. He's been a part of so many different stables, but like that moment for me made me go like, okay, Mark Henry was here, and now he's way up here in terms of how good I think he is.
Yeah, that Hall of Pain angle, Hall of Pain, that was what it was. The whole thing he did with all of them, you know, where he was like, would do the slam onto the chair, and he took out Big Show and Khali and all these different people, and then beat Orton for the belt. Like the whole thing, it was fantastic.
Maybe you're like me, because like I know you said like we're not the tallest of guys, we're kind of short kings in our own way, but whenever I would make a character in like a WWE game or something, he would be 7'5", 350 pounds. Like, he would just be as maxed out as he could possibly be of muscle, because I was just like, that's who I want to be.
Live vicariously through the video game, you know. If I could do it there, I could do it here. And it was, you know, big guy, singlet, cool helmet coming to the ring, like nowhere near what I was in real life.
So, here's a quick question for you. What's your favorite feud that you're in right now, if any, from a Little Furry 2002? Fury, Little Furry.
I like Little Furry better because I know the guy that asked that wrestles in a wasp costume. And let me be clear right now, it is not you, Battle Wasp. You are not my favorite feud right now. I'm only in 0 feuds right now because I'm not feuding you. Sorry, I had to get that off my chest.
No, keep going. Bury him. Come on.
Bees
are better than wasps.
Bees are better than wasps.
There you go. Be a battle bee. Be a battle bee. More friendly.
Yeah,
make honey.
Bubble Buzz or something.
Oh, that's a good one there. That's
Buzz
not
off.
true.
That's what I say to that question. Buzz off.
Oh no, we love Battle Wasp here. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm cheering for you secretly over. Don't tell anything. B movie ruled. What was that movie? That was with Jerry Seinfeld or whatever. The B movie.
I never watched it, but I've seen so many memes. I feel like I get it. You know.
There you go. Just come to like when if you're ever facing Battle Wasp, just come in, just wear like a piece of paper like of the B movie guy just on your face and be like, oh, I can do it too.
I will never ever wrestle Battle Wasp. Ever.
No, because it's not a battle,
Never.
right? It's not
It's
even
not
a
a battle.
fight, right?
It'd be an ass kicking. It would be a fight that lasts 10 seconds, you know?
So how would he beat you? No.
You'd beat me if I didn't show up. That's how.
There you go. By no count out or by count out, I suppose. You just didn't make it to the ring. But how about feuds that you've had in the past? What are some people that you feel like actually are like the antithesis to Elliot Tyler? Like who is your, Moriarty to Sherlock? Who's your Q to Picard? That was a weird one.
The easy go-to answer would be Judas Icarus because we feuded for like 2 years. But honestly, I had a feud this last year with Mr. Ferguson, Fergie, whatever you want to call him, that spanned from like September to July. And that was probably one of the most hard-hitting feuds I've had, I feuded a bunch of people. I seem to always piss people off or get on the wrong side of someone, but I definitely feel like me and Mr. Ferguson brought a different level out of each other that I hadn't had before. So I'll go with him. I think that's a good answer.
It's a great answer. I mean, he's a giant of a human right there, right? Like, so once again, it's kind of like that Big Show. It's that juxtaposition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is fantastic. Do you have a favorite match that you've done or something that you feel like, not necessarily that you were like, that's the best match in the world, but like, you're like, I'm proud of the way that I performed in that match. Like, I feel like I did really good. I'm proud of my accomplishment. I accomplished what I wanted.
Oh,
because you wrestlers are fickle, man. You guys aren't very happy with yourselves usually.
No, we're not. Man. Oh, that's a brain racker. I had an okay match. It was fun. I had a fun match that I enjoyed. I don't necessarily think I liked myself in it, but a match I enjoyed with, to name drop again, Daniel Makabe at 3-2-1 Battle in what we both called the sprint because we only had about 6-7 minutes, and I think we crammed like 20 minutes in there, but we made the 20 minutes make sense. So I enjoyed that one. I'll say that one.
That's the one then. What about like if there's one thing that you could improve on as a wrestler, because like you said, like it doesn't come easy. There's so many different things that you have to work on, be it like even as little as your social media presence to your promos, to your in-ring ability, to the, just knowing general wrestling knowledge and being helpful around the ring and stuff like that. What's one thing that you wish you could just be like, oh, I don't want to work on that. I just wish I could improve like that right now and just be better.
Can I say all of it?
No.
No, I have to. Maybe social media is actually a good one. I feel like I'm very good at taking the piss out of myself and other people on social media, By the way, I hope I could swear on this. I feel like I already have a bunch, but
I think you're doing fine. I haven't
Okay,
noticed
cool.
anything. We'll find out in if we ever make money.
we'll bleep that in post. But,
we're not live or anything on YouTube right now. It's fine.
Yeah, no. We're not gonna get demonetized. That's cool. Not gonna tank your show or anything. Probably social media. I'm really good at like taking the piss out of myself. I could get a good few tweets at like a good few likes on a tweet that's just sassy and does nothing for me, but I'm so bad at like properly promoting myself, and I feel like that is so important, especially now, and especially on Twitter. It's so important to like be your brand, but I'm so bad, and I find myself all the time for, I'll have to promote myself in one way or another, and I'll type out this really cool tweet about a show, and I'll be like, oh man, I'm gonna get clowned for that, and then I'll delete it and type out something different. I'll be like, okay, that's better. Then I'll look at it for 2 minutes and be like, nah, not that. And then I'll delete that. And then I'll just end up tweeting like Friday show be there, be square. And I'm like, man, like, how can I not commit to like promoting myself? I'm just,
Do you find that promoting yourself is the hardest thing? Because it's super easy to praise the accomplishments of the people around you, but isn't it like the hardest thing in the world to say anything nice about yourself? I have the same issue when it comes to promoting myself. I'm like, who am I? I'm not no one.
Yeah, right? That's how I completely feel. You could ask me about any wrestler I've met. There's a 99.9% chance I got a good word. I'll say something nice about them. I'll sing the praise because I love them. There's a huge percent chance that I love them. But it's like, say something nice about yourself, and it's like, you're asking too much.
I show up. I showed up that one time. I was there.
Yeah, I let wrestlers sleep in my house sometimes. That's pretty cool of me. That's about where I think the line is drawn.
Well, in terms of cost of living in Vancouver, one night stay in Vancouver is a huge help to a lot of people because, my God, the prices out there are just ridiculous.
Torture.
If you could give one piece of advice to somebody who's starting out in wrestling right now, what advice would you give them?
Try your best to keep having fun. I feel like it's very easy and very common for a lot of people to get caught up in a lot of different things. And, especially with how strong and vocal opinions from all sides of the world are now, it's very easy to get caught up in negativity and very easy to get thrown into toxicity. I think it's very important and something that I've learned in the last year that, you just try to keep loving it. It's not going to happen. There's very few people that continuously 100% love it from the beginning to the end and have a long career. There's always going to be roller coasters and peaks and valleys, but just like, when you can enjoy it, recognize why you enjoy it. And when you don't enjoy it, recognize why you enjoyed it.
That's a brilliant piece of advice right there. It's, simple, but I mean, it's as simple as like, if you're not happy, figure out why you're not happy and get yourself happy again to make sure you actually enjoy what you're doing. Because that's great.
Absolutely.
Here's a question from the Canadian Wrestling Archive because I just saw that. Who do you think should be interviewed here in the future? Who do you think I need to get on here?
I don't know if you've had them already. Coco Flash.
Okay. I haven't, but I would love to
talk to. A guy named HBKJ, highly benevolent KJ, sports entertainer. He's new. He's very new on the scene. But my God, I'm obsessed with him. He is fantastic.
I was going to say, I don't know this name, but the way you're talking about him, I'm all excited now.
Very, very new. Very good talker. Very good character. I think you would love him. I think you would be head over heels for him. I think anyone watching this show would be. I think he'd be a great interview. Him, Coco. Oh man, Reloaded would be rad. Jackie Lee, Sharif Morrow. I think they're both extremely entertaining people as well. Yeah, I think that's 4 picks instead of 1, but
I like them. I just keep going. Like I'll just take them all at this point. I got a long list. Here's the thing about what I do. I get to sit once a week and talk to wrestlers and just make friends. I have the coolest job in the world, right? So like whenever somebody's just like, oh, you got to get this person on here. They're a friend of mine. I'm just like, a friend of yours is a friend of mine. Let's make this happen.
Fantastic.
Ooh, here we go. A question from Jarvis Washington. Who are your 2 favorite brand NEW, or we say, who are your brand new wrestling personalities in Vancouver right now? And why is it the Archduchess of Professional Wrestling, Travis Wild Eyes Woloshin?
Oh my God.
I hope I pronounced that right.
Oh, God. Have you heard of Boom Wrestling?
I have, yeah.
I love Boom Wrestling. They have some very cool characters, and easily one of my favorite characters in all of BC is the Archduchess. I think she's like 7, 8, 9. I don't want to guess the wrong age,
A very negative one age kind of thing.
But she's like the grand ruler of Boom Wrestling, and she makes the rules and she calls the shots. And of course, Travis Wild Eyes is 8.5. Oh, I wonder who Jarvis is. I have no clue. But no, definitely both of them are fantastic. A bunch of new characters have popped up since Boom came around. The owner has good roots in the Vancouver comedy scene, so there's been a lot of overlap, which I think is awesome. I think, getting people who have a stage presence for talking rather than just wrestling is a huge benefit to any wrestler that's willing to pay attention and listen in. I'm a huge fan of all of them, definitely. But the Archduchess is a very, very, very good character.
I feel like I got to catch a Boom show now, right? Unfortunately, it's one of those things where it's just like I'm in another province, so I hear about all these cool things that happen, and I get to like sneak in there once in a while. Like I got to get to that NEW show, right?
Yeah.
But I need to go out for like a month and just catch all the different shows between not just like Vancouver, but like go all the way to the interior, catch
Oh
all the
yeah.
things around like the Kamloops, Penticton area scene, go all the way up north because they've got their own north scene in BC for some.
They
You
do.
got there's crazy how much stuff you guys have in BC. It's amazing.
It's insane. Yeah. Thrash wrestling that runs out of like Penticton and Vernon. They're on fire right now.
Yeah.
They just sold out like 6 shows in a row, had to move to a bigger venue. 365 on the island, like in the exact opposite direction of Thrash. They're selling out all their shows right now in this really rad venue in Esquimalt and in Victoria. Boom has sold out every show they've done so far. They're on track to selling out their next one that's on New Year's, like New Year's Eve. The show's happening on the 31st, and I think they're trying to make it go on to the 1st. And it's just, it's such a cool time. WrestleCore is either always selling out or hugely packing their venue.
I have a question for you because as you said in chat here,
Yes.
How do you respond to the rumors that you are indeed Battle Wasp?
I respond to them by saying that is false. And if you watch the last All-Star Wrestling show, you would see I actually cost Battle Wasp his match. I am sick and tired of the propaganda. I am not Battle Wasp. I am better than Battle Wasp. I am smarter than Battle Wasp. I am faster than Battle Wasp. And I'm all around just more cool than Battle Wasp.
These all say like things that people who would be Battle Wasp would say to throw away people thinking that they're Battle Wasp. So, what about what's some good things about Battle Wasp? Like, is there a good thing about him? Like, just to prove that you're not him because that's how outliers work?
The best thing about Battle Wasp is the fact that I haven't seen him in a few weeks.
That is an amazing way to answer that question. Have you not seen him because like you haven't had mirrors around? So like when you are like you don't see yourself? Is that what's happening?
No, it is
okay.
The fact that I avoid the stench of that putrid furry
suit
wannabe at all times.
Right. How do you know about the smell of the suit then? Is it because like it covers the face like too much? Like how does that?
Well, if you followed the last All-Star Wrestling show, you would know I stole his mask and attacked him. So indeed, I had to smell the stupid sweat that leaks from his brain when I wore the mask.
There you go. Everyone, we can say definitively right here that Elliot Tyler is not Battle Wasp. However, he now has the mask and is now Battle Wasp. That's how this is working. Is this happening?
Sure. You know what? He is Battle Wasp bad, and I am Battle Wasp superior.
Oh, we got to come up. We got Mecha Wasp.
I like that. I'll be
just
Mecha
put
Wasp.
Half robot version, and then you could be that.
Yes.
Why are you selling masks that aren't yours? How did the pandemic start, bro? Oh, that was a really good joke.
Next question. Cut that one.
All right. Well, anyways, we are coming up towards the end of this here. So we've been going for about an hour. Do you want to give your shout outs? Like, do you want to plug your socials? Like, where can people find you? Where can we see Elliot Tyler moving forward?
Instagram and Twitter. You can find me at Elliot Tyler _. That is 2 L's, 1 T. People get it confused. I don't have.
Wait, I thought Battle had 2 T's and 1 L. So no.
No, I will never ever be that wasp. But yeah, I'm pretty easy to find. I'm only on 2 platforms. I have a secret TikTok, but no one will ever know what that is. Yeah, easy to find. Shows coming up. I got 2 more for the end of the year with NEW. They're Boxing Day shows. And then we come back in January, and then we pick up in February. February is actually a busy month, but yeah.
Are we have any plans right now to see you back in Alberta? Because I know if that's going to be an opportunity, I want people to know about this. TikTok Battle Wasp right there. That's the TikTok account.
Don't look that up. You're gonna be sad. No word yet on Alberta. Fingers crossed. I hope so. I would like to come back to Alberta. I am in love with a bunch of the wrestlers there, and I think the talent pool is not talked about enough. So I would love to go back there and scrap it up with a bunch of them. So hopefully in the new year.
If any promoters in Alberta right now are listening, listen, we want more Elliot Tyler here.
One more. Hey, maybe
more Beef Boy.
You get a Battle Wasp. Who knows, right?
Right? 2 for 1. You can get Elliot Tyler and Mecha Battle Wasp or whatever it is.
Not bad. Not bad.
Perfect. To Elliot, dude, thank you so much for joining me here today. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you. I had a blast. Easy hour.
Well, that's what I like to hope for, is that I make it as easy on people as possible. But thank you so much. I will let you go. I will do my little outro spiel here. We'll go and park you. But would you like to say your goodbyes?
No, I'm good.
No, good. Okay, good. Everybody just go away. Everybody sucks. Go away.
Irish goodbye. Get me out of here.
Yeah, I got this. All right, I'll put him over here. All right, a big thank you, obviously, to Elliot Tyler for joining me here today. That was so much fun getting to chat with him and learning more about him, his time in wrestling, the BCC, and things that he wants to do. Finding out, like, man, did we get a big scoop here? Finding out that he's Battle Wasp, like, that's crazy. But I mean, that's fine. So you can't say anything right now. He's giving me the stink eye. But if you are watching this and you had a good time, remember to hit that like button. If you are on YouTube, remember to hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, turn the little bell thingamajiggy on to make sure that you're notified whenever we go live or we upload something here to the Canadian Wrestling Archive. Big thank you, obviously, to the Canadian Wrestling Archive for letting us stream, and they're growing really fast, doing really amazing stuff, and I'm a big fan of the Canadian Wrestling Archive. So if you haven't, remember to follow them, give them a subscribe as well on YouTube. If you're here following me on Twitch right now, give me a follow, say hi. It's great to see you. We'll probably be going live here next Tuesday. Christmas is coming up here, so choosing the dates as to the next couple of interviews coming up are going to be a little bit more random, but we'll get there, and you guys will know all about them when they're happening, and we're going to have a great time. So much love to all of you. I hope you all have yourself an absolutely wonderful night, and yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.